My wife announced she was bringing her ex back into our home and said confidently, "My parents won't let you fight this." I nodded. That afternoon, I sat across from her father and said something she never expected me to say. By dinner time, the family meeting took a turn no one was prepared for. I'm 42, married for 14 years, and I just discovered that family loyalty has a price tag, and I'd been paying it alone this whole time. My wife and I met when we were both in our late 20s. She came from money, not obscene wealth, but comfortable generational resources. Her parents owned a successful regional business, the kind that keeps a family well off for decades. I came from middle-class roots, worked my way through college, built a decent career in operations management. When we married, her parents made it clear they'd helped us with the down payment on our house as a wedding gift. I appreciated it then. Didn't realize it came with strings. The first decade of marriage was relatively smooth. We had our arguments like any couple, but nothing that felt unsalvageable. Her parents were involved in our lives, too involved sometimes, but I chalked it up to them being family-oriented. Sunday dinners at their house were mandatory. Holiday plans required their approval. Major decisions needed their input. I went along with it because it seemed to make my wife happy. Then about 6 months ago, her high school ex-boyfriend resurfaced. He'd apparently been going through a difficult time. Divorce, job loss, some kind of personal crisis. My wife mentioned he'd reached out to her for advice since they'd stayed loosely connected through social media over the years. I didn't think much of it initially. People reconnect with old friends during hard times. Seemed harmless, but the conversations became more frequent. She'd be texting him during dinner, taking calls from him late at night, spending hours on the phone offering emotional support. When I mentioned it was getting excessive, she told me I was being insecure and controlling, that he was just a friend who needed help, that I should be more compassionate. "He's going through a really dark time," she'd say. "He doesn't have anyone else to talk to. He has family, doesn't he? They've turned their backs on him. I'm all he has right now." What about his friends? Most of them sided with his ex-wife. "Look, I'm just being a decent human being. Why are you making this into something it's not?" I dropped it. Told myself I was overreacting, but the feeling in my gut wouldn't go away. 3 weeks ago, she came home from lunch with her mother and sat me down at the kitchen table. She had this expression on her face, determined but nervous, like she'd rehearsed what she was about to say. "We need to talk about something important." I set down my coffee. "Okay. He's in a really bad place right now. Lost his apartment, can't afford rent anywhere decent. He's been staying in his car for the past 2 weeks. That's unfortunate. Has he looked into social services? There are programs." I told him he could stay with us for a while, just until he gets back on his feet. I stared at her. "You told him what?" "He needs help. We have a spare room. It's the right thing to do." "The right thing to do is help a friend find resources, not move your ex-boyfriend into our home." "He's not my ex-boyfriend anymore. That was 20 years ago. He's a friend who needs help. A friend you've been emotionally supporting to the point where it's affecting our marriage. That's dramatic. I've been helping someone in crisis. There's a difference. And now you want him living here, without even discussing it with me first?" "I'm discussing it now." "No, you're telling me. There's a difference." She got that look on her face, the one she always got when she was about to pull out her trump card. "My parents think it's a good idea. They actually suggested it." "Of course they did." "What's that supposed to mean?" "It means your parents have an opinion about everything in our lives, and you always side with them over me." "That's not true." "When's the last time you disagreed with them about anything important?" She didn't answer that. Instead, "He's moving in this weekend. I already told him yes. If you have a problem with it, take it up with my parents." "Why would I take it up with your parents? This is our home, our marriage. Why do they get a vote?" "Because they helped us buy this house. Because they're family. Because they actually care about helping people instead of being selfish." That word hit me in the chest. Selfish. For not wanting my wife's ex-boyfriend living in my house. "I don't agree to this," I said quietly. "It's not up for a vote. It's happening. And honestly, if you fight this, my parents won't let you win. They're on my side." I looked at her for a long moment. This woman I'd been married to for 14 years. This person who was threatening me with her parents like I was a child, being sent to the principal's office. Okay, I said. She blinked. Okay? Okay. If that's how you want to play this, okay. I stood up and walked to our bedroom, closed the door, sat on the edge of the bed and tried to process what had just happened. My wife had unilaterally decided to move her ex into our home, had conspired with her parents about it, had threatened me with their support if I objected, had called me selfish for having boundaries. I pulled out my phone and called her father, asked if I could meet him that afternoon. He seemed surprised but agreed. Update 1, I drove to her parents' house at 2 p.m. Her mother was out, which I'd confirmed before scheduling the meeting. This needed to be a conversation with her father alone. He met me at the door, friendly, as always. Come in. Want coffee? No thanks. I need to talk to you about something serious. We sat in his study. He looked concerned. Is everything okay? No. Your daughter told me this morning that she's moving her ex-boyfriend into our house this weekend. She said you and her mother not only approve but suggested it. She also said if I fight it, you won't let me win. He shifted in his chair. She told you that? Word for word. Look, he's in a tough spot. We thought... I need you to understand something, I interrupted. I'm not here to argue about whether helping him is right or wrong. I'm here to tell you that I will not live in a house with my wife's ex-boyfriend. And I need to know if you actually plan to take her side on this. She's my daughter. Of course I support her. Even when she's wrong? I don't think she's wrong to help someone. She's not just helping someone. She's been emotionally involved with him for months. She's on the phone with him for hours. She's prioritizing him over our marriage. And now she wants him living in our home. You really think that's appropriate? He was quiet for a moment. I didn't know about the phone calls. Because she didn't tell you. She's been hiding how much time and emotional energy she's investing in him. This isn't about charity. This is about her maintaining a relationship that threatens our marriage. That's a serious accusation. It's a serious situation. And I need to know where you stand. Because if you're going to back her on this, I need to make my own decisions accordingly. What kind of decisions? The kind where I protect myself. The kind where I stop trying to maintain a marriage where I'm constantly overruled by my wife's parents. The kind where I consult a lawyer. His expression changed. You're talking about divorce? I'm talking about recognizing reality. Your daughter told me this morning that your opinion matters more than mine in my own home. That's not a marriage. That's me being a tenant in a house controlled by her family. Now wait a minute. No, you wait. I've spent 14 years accommodating your family's involvement in our lives. Sunday dinners, holiday plans, financial decisions, everything. I've bitten my tongue when you've overstepped. I've gone along with things I wasn't comfortable with because I thought it was part of being in this family. But this crosses a line. We just want to help. Do you own our house? He frowned. What? The down payment you gave us as a wedding gift, was it a gift or a loan? Do you have any legal claim to the property? Of course not. It was a gift. Then why does my wife think you have the authority to overrule me about who lives there? He didn't have an answer. Here's what's going to happen, I continued. You're going to call your daughter and tell her that moving her ex into our home without my agreement is unacceptable. You're going to tell her that you and her mother don't actually support this plan, and you're going to tell her that she needs to respect her marriage more than her history with this guy. And if I don't? Then I'm filing for divorce, and when your daughter asks why, I'm going to tell her it's because her parents taught her that marriage is a democracy where her family gets more votes than her husband. I'll also make sure everyone understands that you encouraged her to move an ex-boyfriend into our marital home. See how that plays in your social circles. His face went red. That sounds like a threat. It's a promise. I'm not going to be humiliated in my own home while you all pat yourselves on the back for being charitable. This stops now, or I walk. Your choice. I stood up. He stood too. I need to talk to my wife. You do that. I'm going to a hotel tonight. I'll wait for your daughter to call me with a change of plans. If I don't hear from her by tomorrow morning, I'll hear from my lawyer by tomorrow afternoon. I walked out. Update 2, I checked into a hotel downtown. Turned off my phone for 2 hours. When I turned it back on, I had 17 missed calls. 12 from my wife, 3 from her mother, 2 from her father. There were also a dozen text messages, most from my wife, ranging from confused to angry to panicked. Where are you? Dad said you threatened divorce. This is insane. Call me now. I didn't call, not yet. I needed to let them sit with the consequences of their choices for a bit. Around 7 p.m., I got a text from her father. Family meeting at our house at 8. You need to be there. I responded, I'll be there. Your daughter should be prepared to explain herself to everyone. I showed up at 8 p.m. exactly. My wife was already there, sitting on the couch next to her mother. Her father was standing by the fireplace. Her younger brother was there too, looking uncomfortable like he'd been dragged into something he didn't understand. I walked in and sat in the chair across from them. Nobody spoke for a moment. Finally, her mother started, I don't appreciate you threatening my husband this afternoon. I didn't threaten him. I laid out consequences for actions. There's a difference. You can't just demand we stay out of our daughter's life. I didn't demand that. I demanded you stop undermining my marriage. There's a difference. My wife jumped in. This is ridiculous. You're blowing everything out of proportion. Am I? Tell your parents what you told me this morning. The exact words. She glanced at them. I told him that we were helping someone in need. No. You told me your ex-boyfriend was moving into our house, and if I fought it, your parents wouldn't let me win. Tell them that part. Silence. Her brother spoke up. Wait, you said that? I was frustrated. I didn't mean... Yes, you did, I interrupted. You meant exactly that. You've been planning this with your parents for at least a week. You didn't discuss it with me, you announced it, and you used your family as a threat to make sure I complied. Her father cleared his throat. I didn't realize the extent of your connection with this man. My wife's head snapped toward him. What? Your husband mentioned you've been on the phone with him for hours, that this has been going on for months. You didn't mention that when you asked us about him staying with you. Because it's not relevant. I've been helping a friend through a crisis. It's relevant, I said, when that friend is someone you used to date and when your support of him has taken priority over your marriage. That's not true, isn't it? When's the last time we had dinner together without you taking a call from him? When's the last time we had a conversation that didn't get interrupted by his texts? When's the last time you prioritized us over him? She didn't answer. Her brother, bless him, asked, Why does he need to stay with you? Can't mom and dad help him if they think it's so important? Everyone looked at him, then at the parents. Her mother shifted uncomfortably. We offered. He said he'd prefer to stay with someone his own age. Right, I said. Because what he actually wants isn't a place to stay. It's access to my wife. That's a horrible thing to accuse him of, my wife said. Then prove me wrong. Show me your phone. Show everyone the messages between you two. No, that's private. Private from your husband? You're trying to make me feel guilty for being a good person. I'm trying to make you see that you're risking our marriage for someone who shouldn't be your priority. Her father spoke up. I think maybe he's right. My wife turned to him, betrayed. Dad, you didn't tell us the whole truth. You made it sound like you were casually helping an old friend. Not that you'd been investing months of emotional energy into him. That changes things. I can't believe you're taking his side. I'm not taking sides. I'm recognizing that your marriage should come first. And if your husband is uncomfortable with this situation, that matters. So I'm just supposed to abandon someone who needs help? You're supposed to help him find appropriate resources, I said. Not move him into our home. There are shelters, programs, family services. If you want to help him financially, we can discuss contributing to his security deposit somewhere else. But he's not living with us. And if I already told him he could? Then you tell him you made a mistake, that you didn't have your husband's agreement and you can't follow through. You apologize and you help him find alternatives. She looked around the room, at her parents, who were now quiet, at her brother, who looked sympathetic to me, at me, probably seeing something in my expression she didn't like. I can't believe you ambushed me like this. You ambushed me this morning. This is me responding. Update 3. The meeting ended with my wife agreeing, reluctantly, not to let her ex move in. Her parents backed me up finally. Her mother was quieter about it, clearly uncomfortable with taking my side over her daughter's, but her father was firm. My wife left her parents' house angry. I stayed behind for a few minutes to talk to her father privately. "I appreciate you backing me up." He nodded. I didn't realize how far this had gone. She's always been stubborn, loyal to people, sometimes too loyal. This isn't about loyalty. This is about appropriate boundaries. "I know. Look, I need to apologize. We've been too involved in your marriage. I see that now. The down payment on the house, it was meant as a gift, but I think we've held it over both of you like we still had a say in your lives." "You have. I know. I'm sorry. That changes now. Does it? Or does it change until the next crisis when your daughter wants something and expects you to back her up?" He looked uncomfortable. "I'll talk to my wife. We need to set better boundaries, too." I left shortly after. Didn't go home. Stayed another night at the hotel. Needed space to think about what came next. My wife called me around midnight. I answered. "Are you coming home?" "Eventually." "When?" "When I'm ready." "This is childish. You got what you wanted. He's not moving in. Why are you still punishing me?" "I'm not punishing you. I'm processing the fact that my wife tried to force her ex-boyfriend into our home and threatened me with her parents when I objected." "I didn't threaten you." "Yes, you did. And the fact that you don't see it that way is part of the problem." Silence. Then, "What do you want from me?" "I want you to understand why this was wrong. Not just agree not to do it, but actually understand why what you did was a betrayal. I was trying to help someone. At the expense of our marriage, at the expense of my comfort and boundaries, without my input or agreement, using your family as leverage against me. Those aren't the actions of a partner." "So what, you want me to apologize?" "I want you to mean it when you apologize. I want you to actually examine why you thought any of this was acceptable. I want you to prioritize our marriage over whatever emotional connection you have with him." "I don't have an emotional connection with him. You've been talking to him for hours every day for months. You defended him over me. You plan to have him live in our house. If that's not an emotional connection, what is it?" She didn't answer. "I'll be home tomorrow," I said. "But we're going to counseling. Non-negotiable." "Fine. And you're going to tell him that he can't stay with us, and why, that it's not appropriate given the strain it's putting on your marriage." "I already told him." "What did you say?" "That my husband isn't comfortable with it and we need to find another solution." "Did you tell him why?" "What do you mean? Did you tell him that you've been investing too much in him and it's affecting our marriage? That we need boundaries?" "No, I just said you weren't comfortable." "So you made me the bad guy." "I didn't." "Yes, you did. You made it about my discomfort instead of about your choices. That's not taking accountability." "What do you want me to say to him?" "I want you to tell him the truth. That you've been leaning on him emotionally in ways that aren't appropriate for a married woman. That you need to step back and focus on your marriage. That while you care about him as a friend, you can't continue this level of involvement." That feels cruel. It's honest. And if honesty feels cruel, that tells you something about the situation. She hung up on me. Update 4. I came home the next afternoon. My wife was there, had clearly been crying. We sat in the living room and talked for hours. She finally admitted that she'd been using him as an emotional outlet, that our marriage had felt stale and he'd been exciting and nostalgic, that helping him made her feel needed and important in ways she hadn't felt in our relationship lately. "Why didn't you talk to me about feeling that way?" "Because I didn't want to hurt you, and I didn't want to admit that I was bored." "Bored. Not with you. With us. With the routine. With the life we've built. It's comfortable and stable, and I should be grateful, but sometimes I just feel stuck. So instead of working on our marriage, you invested in him. I didn't think about it that way. I just thought I was helping a friend. And now? Now I see how it looked. How it was. I'm sorry." We agreed to start counseling. I also insisted she cut contact with the ex completely, not just reduce it. She resisted at first, but eventually agreed. Her parents called a few days later. Her mother apologized stiffly for overstepping. Her father reiterated that they'd be less involved going forward. I appreciated the gesture, but didn't entirely believe it would stick. The ex sent me a message on social media about 2 weeks after everything went down. "I'm sorry for any trouble I caused. I never meant to get between you two. I hope you can work things out." I didn't respond, blocked him. Final update. That was 6 months ago. We've been in counseling the whole time. Progress has been slow but real. My wife has been more open about her feelings, more willing to discuss issues in our marriage instead of seeking validation elsewhere. I've been working on being more present and engaged, not just coasting through life on autopilot. Her parents have mostly stayed out of our business. There was one instance where her mother tried to make plans without consulting us first, and my wife actually shut it down herself, said we needed to be consulted, not informed. I was proud of her for that. The ex found somewhere else to stay, last I heard. Got back on his feet, found a job. My wife still follows him on social media but doesn't interact with his posts. I check occasionally, not because I don't trust her, but because trust takes time to rebuild. Our marriage isn't perfect, but it's ours now in a way it wasn't before. We make decisions together. We prioritize each other. We don't hide behind family or outside relationships when things get difficult. I learned that sometimes the only way to save a marriage is to be willing to end it. That boundaries mean nothing if you're not prepared to enforce them. That family involvement in a marriage can be toxic even when it's well-intentioned. My wife learned that emotional affairs are still affairs. That nostalgia is a trap. That the grass isn't greener, it's just different grass. That marriage requires active participation, not passive existence. Her parents learned that helping their daughter doesn't mean always taking her side. That supporting her sometimes means telling her she's wrong. That their wedding gift didn't come with lifetime voting rights on our life decisions. We'll see where we are in another 6 months, another year. But right now, we're actually working on us instead of pretending everything is fine while it falls apart. That's something. The house is just ours now. No ex-boyfriend sleeping in the spare room. No parents weighing in on who should live here. Just the two of us, trying to build something worth keeping. It's not the ending I wanted 6 months ago. It's not the revenge story where I left and everything fell apart and I rode off into the sunset. It's just two people who almost lost each other, deciding that maybe they're worth fighting for after all. Maybe that's enough.